Welcome the anointed ones. When you're rare, you're either worshipped or hunted. Now let that sink in. Because chosen ones, let's tell the truth, nobody else is bold enough to say everybody wants a piece of you, but most couldn't even digest your presence if they tried. You walk into rooms and don't just shift the energy. You shatter illusions. People feel something ancient when they meet you. And no, it's not heartburn. It's spiritual heart surgery in real time. Here's a fact to mess with your head. Studies show that people are naturally drawn to individuals who embody authenticity. But they also subconsciously resent them. Why? Because you expose everything they're pretending to be. You're not the type to blend in, play small, or dilute your light just to make insecure people feel safe. You weren't chosen to be liked. You were chosen to awaken. And trust me, awakeners are never universally welcome. Ask any prophet, rebel, or visionary from history. Oh wait, you can't. Most of them were misunderstood, exiled, or worse. So why does everyone want you? Why do they orbit your energy like moths to a flame, and then act like you burn them when they get too close? Because you represent something this world can't manufacture. Authentic power that wasn't bought, taught, or filtered through a trending aesthetic. You're the real deal. And here's the kicker. You're not for everyone. And you were never supposed to be. But that's not a weakness. It's the evidence that you were chosen. So buckle up. Because what we're about to unpack will explain why people want your presence, envy your peace, and still try to play in your orbit, knowing full well they're not built for your gravity. And if that stings a little, good. That means it's working. Let's get into it. Number 1. You trigger people's unresolved selves. That's why they crave you and resent you all at once. You don't just walk into a room. You disrupt it. Not by force, not by saying anything, but just by being fully, unapologetically you. That energy you carry, it doesn't just glow, it reveals. And that's exactly why so many people are drawn to you, yet strangely uncomfortable when they get too close. They can't put their finger on it, but something about you makes them feel exposed. And that's because you are a mirror. But unlike the flattering kind that hides flaws, you reflect back everything raw, real, and unresolved. People don't realize it, but they're not actually falling for you. They're falling for the way they feel in your presence. There's a weightlessness, a clarity, a high-frequency truth that follows you like a shadow. It makes people feel like they've touched something pure. But purity demands something in return. It demands honesty. And most aren't ready for that part. So instead of admitting they feel insecure or inspired or shaken up by your light, they project. They say you're intimidating, arrogant, mysterious, too deep. But the truth is, you just make them face parts of themselves they've been avoiding for years. They crave your peace but can't handle the war it took to earn it. They want your strength but not the story behind it. And when they realize they can't just borrow your essence without being changed by it, they retreat, sometimes silently, sometimes with drama, but always with a hint of confusion, because they thought they were ready for someone like you, but didn't expect the cost of proximity to be self-awareness. This is why so many people want you, and yet so few can keep you. You weren't sent here to make others feel comfortable. You were sent to awaken something. That awakening comes with tension. It comes with resistance, but it also comes with truth. And truth, when it walks into a room wearing your face, is both magnetic and terrifying. Number 2. You're the proof that they could have healed, but chose comfort instead. People admire your strength, your clarity, your healed energy, but they forget what it cost to get there. They see the calm in your eyes now, but they weren't around when they were filled with tears. They praise your growth, but they didn't witness the breaking, the silence, the nights where you had to drag yourself through pain nobody helped you carry. You didn't just wake up wise. You bled for that wisdom. And now that you've made it to the other side, they act like you were always this grounded, always this sure of yourself. It's convenient for them to forget your journey because it reminds them of the one they never took. They want to soak in your peace like it's a spa treatment, but they're not willing to face the storms you walked through alone. You chose to do the work, to face the ugly truths, to sit in silence, to deal with your trauma without turning it into a weapon or a personality. And that's what separates you from them. You didn't get here by luck or good vibes. You got here because you were willing to feel it all. And when it would have been easier to numb out, lash out, or blame the world, you faced your reflection and did something terrifying. You changed. You're not walking around healed and whole because life handed you a gentle path. You're walking around like that despite the damage. And that makes some people uncomfortable, because your evolution reminds them that they could have chosen differently. They could have done the hard inner work, but instead, they settled. They stayed in survival mode, surrounded by distractions and excuses. Now you walk in rooms and your presence silently says, healing is possible. You just didn't want it badly enough. That's the part they don't say out loud, but you can feel it, that tension, that low-key resentment masked as admiration. They want what you have, but not who you had to become to get it. And that's exactly why you were chosen. Not just to survive, but to become what others were too afraid to face. Number 3. They want to taste the fruit but not plant the seed. People love the version of you that shines. They admire your strength, your energy, the way you light up a space with presence alone. They show up when the fruit is ripe, when the confidence is loud, the glow is obvious, and the peace is undeniable. But where were they during the seasons you were planting? Where were they when you were buried deep in silence, healing in isolation, praying through nights that didn't seem to end? They want to celebrate your bloom, but they vanished when you were breaking. Most people don't want the full truth. They want the highlight reel. They want access to your healed, elevated self without any understanding of what it took to become that person. You went through emotional winters they never saw. You cried over betrayals they don't even know happened. You had to learn boundaries through pain, trust through heartbreak, and strength through total collapse. You weren't just growing, you were surviving, quietly, desperately, and without a cheer squad. Now that you've evolved, now that you walk with purpose and discernment, they act like they've always been in your corner. But deep down, they know they didn't water your soil. They didn't check in when you were down. They didn't show up when you had nothing to give. And because of that, they don't deserve the harvest. Some of them feel entitled to your energy now, just because they've shown up for the good part. But that's not how it works. The fruit of your life was never free. It came at the cost of battles fought in the dark, of healing in silence, of losing everyone and still choosing to rise. So now, when people come around trying to reap what they didn't sow, you see it for what it is. Not support, not love, just entitlement in disguise. And you're no longer the version of yourself that gives everything away just to feel seen. You're sacred land now, and sacred land doesn't let just anyone come and pick the fruit. Number 4. You're a frequency, not a personality. And most can't handle the bandwidth. You're not simply a person with unique traits or quirks. You're a living frequency, an energy signal that operates on a wavelength most people aren't built to handle. This frequency doesn't just show up quietly. It disrupts the status quo inside the minds of those around you. When you enter a room, you don't just bring your personality. You bring an invisible force that rattles their carefully constructed sense of reality. Their egos twitch, their masks wobble, and their comfortable illusions begin to crumble without them even realizing why. People aren't rejecting you personally. What's really happening is that their nervous systems are reacting to your energy. Their bodies, minds, and spirits aren't accustomed to someone who holds that kind of raw, unfiltered truth. You're tuning into a channel of authenticity and awareness that most are still emotionally and spiritually unequipped to receive. And because their systems can't handle that intensity, they push back, sometimes aggressively, sometimes by distancing themselves, but always out of self-protection. This is why many who try to connect with you label you as too much, intense, or unapproachable. They don't say it outright, but it's a defense mechanism against the discomfort your presence stirs. Your frequency demands full presence, full honesty, and full accountability, and that kind of demand isn't easy for anyone who's used to living in denial or distraction. In truth, you aren't here to dim your light or slow your vibration just to make others comfortable. Your frequency is your power, your truth, your sacred signature. Those who can't handle the bandwidth aren't meant to stay close. Because you aren't just a personality to be liked. You're an energy force that shifts everything around you, and that is exactly why you were chosen. Number 5. They want you to be a mirror, but only when the reflection feeds their delusions. People want you to be their mirror, but only the kind that shows them what they want to see. They come to you expecting warmth, validation, and the gentle reflections that soothe their egos. They want you to nod, agree, and make them feel like they're enough just as they are, flaws and all. But the moment you step outside that role and start reflecting truth instead of comfort, everything changes. Suddenly, you're too much, difficult, or intense. They label you as the problem, when really the problem is that you don't let them live inside their own illusions anymore. You weren't made to be a balm for wounded egos. You weren't designed to keep things safe or easy. Your purpose is clarity, not comfort. You hold a mirror that doesn't lie or soften edges. You show people what they refuse to admit even to themselves. And that kind of reflection is a threat to a world addicted to self-deception, denial, and half-truths. When you shine light on what's hidden, it stirs fear and resistance. People would rather live in a comfortable lie than face a harsh truth. So they push back, distance themselves, or attack your character, anything to avoid the discomfort you bring. But here's the truth nobody wants to admit. You are the disruption they secretly need. You are the spark that ignites awakening, even if it comes wrapped in tension. You aren't here to make people feel good all the time. You're here to make them see. And sometimes, seeing isn't easy, but it's necessary. So keep reflecting the truth unapologetically, even if it means being called too much. Because clarity, as unsettling as it can be, is the only path to real transformation. Number 6. You are what they pretend to be on social media. Everyone else is busy crafting a version of themselves for the world to admire. The perfect angle, the filtered smile, the carefully chosen words that say just enough but reveal nothing. They curate what looks like authenticity, but it's all a performance designed to control how others see them. Meanwhile, you don't need a stage or a script because you embody the real thing. Your authenticity isn't something you switch on for the camera or tweak for approval. It's who you are at your core. That raw, unedited energy you carry makes people uncomfortable in a way they can't quite explain. It's like you've stripped off their masks without even trying, exposing the cracks and the acts they've been hiding behind. Their carefully constructed identities suddenly feel fragile, and that makes them nervous. Your presence doesn't just challenge their image, it makes their filters and facades feel pointless. You aren't a character they can manipulate or a version they can outshine because your essence isn't a show, it's a force. Deep down, they know they can't fake what you are. They sense a truth in you that's impossible to imitate, no matter how many selfies or posts they create. And that truth unsettles them. It threatens the safety of their performance, the illusion they've spent so long building. So some will admire you secretly, hoping some of that realness rubs off. Others will push away, threatened by the mirror you hold up without apology. You are the unfiltered reality in a world obsessed with curated illusions. That's why you can never fit neatly into their boxes or expectations. You aren't just a person, you're a revolution against everything fake, and that makes you both magnetic and untouchable at the same time. Number 7. They want access to the glory, but not the gory. Everyone wants to bask in your light, to be seen standing next to your success, your confidence, your peace. They want the perks of your growth without acknowledging the price you paid to get there. They show up when you're winning, celebrating your victories as if they were theirs. But when you were lost in the darkness, struggling, doubting, and fighting battles no one could see, those same people were nowhere to be found. They weren't there for the sleepless nights, the silent tears, the moments when you felt completely broken and invisible. They want the glory without the gory. They want to enjoy your triumph without knowing the scars it left behind. But growth isn't a highlight reel. It's messy, painful, and often lonely. You didn't just wake up golden. You had to be forged through fire. Your soul was cracked open, bleeding and reshaped in the silence. And that process? It's something most people run from or ignore because it's uncomfortable, raw, and demanding. Those who abandoned you in those hard moments don't deserve a seat at your table now. They want to claim the crown, but they didn't help you carry the weight when it mattered most. You've learned to protect your energy, to recognize who showed up in the dark and who only came around when the sun was shining. Because the truth is, real support isn't just applause from the sidelines. It's standing with you in the trenches when nobody else will. Your crown isn't for everyone, and that's exactly how it should be. Only those who stayed through the storm earned the right to witness your light. And anyone else? Let them watch from a distance while you wear what you earned. Raw, real, and unapologetically yours. Number 8. Your spirit carries codes that aren't meant for the masses. You weren't sent here to gather likes, followers, or approval from the masses. Your mission isn't about popularity or fitting into someone else's mold. You were deployed with precision, like a signal coded for very specific receivers. Your spirit carries encrypted codes, wisdom, energy, and truth that aren't meant for everyone. They're designed to awaken, challenge, and transform particular souls who are ready to receive them. Because of this, your presence naturally repels the crowd that craves easy comfort or surface-level connections. You aren't meant to be everyone's favorite or the life of the party. Instead, your energy acts like a filter, separating the noise from the true seekers. It pushes away distractions, shallow relationships, and those who only want to skim the surface. But for the rare few who tune into your frequency, your spirit lights a fire. You unlock parts of their consciousness that were dormant. You activate potential and awaken destinies that others don't even know exist. This is why you often feel isolated or misunderstood. It's not a flaw or a curse. It's the natural result of carrying a purpose that requires a higher level of resonance. You aren't here to please everyone, and you weren't meant to blend in. Your codes are too advanced, too sacred, and too powerful for the general crowd. So don't waste energy trying to be accepted by everyone. Your impact comes from those few whose lives you truly touch, the ones who recognize the divine technology within you. Those connections are rare, but they're what matter most. Because the mission you're on isn't about quantity, it's about quality, depth, and precision. And that's why you were chosen. To carry what others can't, to reach who others won't, and to change what others don't even see yet. Number 9. Your value is incomprehensible to those addicted to performance. People caught in the trap of performance-based self-worth simply can't understand what you bring to the table. Their entire sense of value depends on how they show up, what they achieve, and how others perceive their actions. They're running a never-ending race to prove themselves, hoping to earn love, respect, or attention by checking off boxes or playing roles. But you don't operate that way. You don't have to perform, impress, or manufacture an image to validate your existence. You move through life in presence, a powerful state of just being. Your value isn't tied to what you do or accomplish, but to who you are at your core. This kind of essence can't be measured by likes, titles, or accolades because it exists beyond all of that. It's felt, not seen. It's energy, not entertainment. And in a world obsessed with identity as a product to be sold or consumed, that's threatening. To those addicted to performance, you look like a puzzle they can't solve. They try to pin you down, box you in, or force you into their system of worth. But it never fits. Because your power is in your authenticity, your stillness, and your refusal to chase external validation. You don't need applause to know you're enough. You don't need to prove anything to prove everything. That makes you intimidating and confusing to many because it challenges their entire worldview. They can't understand a value that isn't earned through effort or achievement. But that's your secret strength. You remind the world there's a deeper way to exist. One where being is more than doing, where presence outweighs performance, and where true worth is something you embody, not something you have to earn. And that's exactly why you were chosen. Number 10. They want your energy, but not your boundaries. People don't actually love you. They love the energy you bring into their lives. They crave your light, your positivity, your strength, the way you make things feel easier or better just by being around. But here's the catch. They want that energy on their terms, whenever they want it, without any limits. The moment you start setting boundaries, saying no, protecting your space, guarding your time, they get uncomfortable. Suddenly you're labeled cold, distant, or unavailable, as if your self-respect is a personal offense. What they fail to understand is that your boundaries are not walls meant to shut them out. They're the gates that protect your essence from being drained by empty hands. You've learned that your energy is precious and not something to be wasted on those who don't value it or reciprocate. When you say no, you're not rejecting people. You're rejecting the misuse of your soul's currency. It's easier for them to complain that you've changed or that you don't care enough, but in reality, you've simply grown wise enough to see who deserves your presence and who doesn't. You're no longer pouring from an empty cup just to keep others comfortable. Your boundaries are the loudest way you say, I am valuable. I am not here to be taken for granted. This truth is jarring because it demands respect, not just admiration. And many aren't ready for that level of accountability. They want your energy without responsibility. But you know better now. Your essence isn't a free buffet, and your boundaries are the signposts that guide who can feast and who must stay hungry. That's not cold. That's clarity. And that's exactly why you were chosen. Number 11. You don't bond through wounds, you bond through alignment. Most people think connection comes from shared wounds, from swapping stories of pain and hardship, from bonding over scars and broken pieces. It's like a club where everyone carries a badge of suffering, and that shared trauma becomes the glue holding relationships together. But that's not how you operate. Your bonds aren't formed in the rubble of pain. They're forged in the purity of alignment. You seek connections that feel sacred, intentional, and deeply resonant. It's not about matching someone's wounds or commiserating over past trauma. It's about recognizing when energies click, when souls speak the same language, and when there's an unspoken knowing that this relationship is meant to uplift, expand, and align with your highest truth. If it doesn't feel divine, if it doesn't bring a sense of peace, clarity, or growth, it simply doesn't stay in your life. This makes you intimidating to many, not because you're unlovable or distant, but because you refuse to settle for surface-level intimacy dressed up as deep connection. You don't have time for relationships that thrive on dysfunction or pain cycles. You don't bond over drama or emotional chaos masquerading as closeness. Your relationships demand authenticity, purpose, and a spiritual match that goes beyond shared stories of hurt. People who only know trauma bonding often mistake your high standards for coldness or aloofness. But really, you're just refusing to cheapen connection by settling for anything less than soul-level alignment. That's not harsh. It's sacred. And it's exactly why you were chosen. Because you know the value of true connection, the kind that doesn't just survive pain, but transcends it. Number 12. You're a soul, not a social strategy. You're not a marketing campaign or a viral trend to be cracked and replicated. You're a soul. A living, breathing force that operates on a level far beyond the superficial games most people play. You don't mold yourself to fit into scenes, cliques, or social expectations. Instead, you are the scene itself. A presence so original and profound that it disrupts any attempt to box you in. While others chase followers, likes, and fleeting approval, your spirit moves differently. It doesn't care about aesthetics or popularity contests. You aren't concerned with crafting a perfect image or building a brand. Instead, you're focused on creating something sacred. Altars, not algorithms. Your energy calls people to pause, reflect, and connect on a deeper level, not just scroll and consume. This makes you a mystery to those who live by trends and tactics. They try to decode you using their limited playbook, but your frequency is on a different wavelength entirely. You confound them because you refuse to be reduced to a formula or a strategy. You're not here to be understood through the lens of social media metrics or cultural fads. You exist beyond all that noise, anchored in timeless truth and spiritual depth. Your essence isn't something to be marketed or mimicked. It's something to be experienced. And that's why you were chosen, to remind the world that some souls are not made for the crowd, but for the calling. You're a soul, not a social strategy. Number 13. You disrupt their comfort zones without saying a word. Your mere presence is a silent revolution. You don't have to say a thing for people to feel shaken around you. You carry a kind of energy that exposes the cracks in their comfort zones, shining light on the parts of themselves they'd rather ignore. You don't come with accusations or arguments, but your existence challenges them to wake up and take responsibility for their own spiritual growth. For many, that's too much to handle. Instead of rising to meet the challenge, they choose the easier path, avoiding the reflection you hold up. They'd rather walk away, gossip, or create stories about you than confront the uncomfortable truths your presence stirs within them. You disrupt their complacency without ever raising your voice, and that makes you both powerful and threatening. It's not about being confrontational in the usual sense. It's about embodying a level of awareness and integrity that naturally calls out stagnation. You're built from truth, from a place so real that it can't be ignored. And when others see that clarity in you, they're forced to reckon with the parts of themselves that aren't living up to their potential. So while they might talk behind your back or try to diminish you, it's really a defense mechanism. They're scared of the mirror you carry because it shows them what they don't want to face. That's why they avoid you, not because you did anything wrong, but because your existence demands a level of honesty and growth most aren't ready for. And that's exactly why you were chosen, to be the spark that shakes the foundations, even when no words are spoken. Number 14. You're not for everyone, because you're sent for the remnant. You're not here to please the crowd or fit into the background noise of society. You're a force meant for a very specific purpose and a very specific group, the remnant. This remnant isn't about numbers or popularity. It's about quality, depth, and readiness. These are the few who have the courage to face truth without flinching, who have the eyes to see beyond illusions, and the hearts willing to awaken to what most ignore or deny. You operate like a spiritual assassin, cutting through lies, exposing falsehoods, and delivering truth with precision. That kind of role isn't designed to be liked by everyone. In fact, it's almost impossible to be liked by the masses when your purpose is to dismantle the comfortable illusions people cling to. That's why so many want you. They sense your power, your light, and the undeniable energy you carry. But they aren't always ready or willing to meet you on your level. Only the aligned, the awakened, and the brave can truly hold space for you. These are the ones who don't shy away when you speak hard truths. They don't run when you challenge the status quo. They resonate with your frequency because they too are on a mission to break free from deception and step into authentic power. Your value isn't in being accepted by all. It's in being indispensable to those rare souls who understand what you bring and why you exist. You were coded with a purpose so deep and so specific that trying to appeal to everyone would dilute your power. You weren't made for the many. You were sent for the remnant. And that's exactly why you were chosen. Because the world needs you where it hurts the most, not where it's comfortable. Absolutely. Here is a longer, richly layered, and powerful conclusion that brings everything full circle with clarity, emotional depth, and a resonant spiritual impact. So let this be the loud, undeniable confirmation you've been waiting for. You are not for everyone. And that is not a flaw, it's a signature of the divine. You were never meant to blend into the noise or shrink into a watered-down version of yourself just to be accepted. You were born with a frequency, a fire, and a mission that only a rare few will recognize, resonate with, and rise to meet. They wanted your light, but not your truth. They craved your energy, but rejected your boundaries. They loved your power until they realized they couldn't control it. And through all of that, you remained. You kept your heart open, your spirit intact, and your standards high. That's not ego. That's spiritual excellence. You disrupt false comfort. You confront illusions without even speaking. Your presence alone exposes the spiritual laziness in others. And that's why they sometimes walk away. Let them. You're not here to babysit egos or decorate someone else's delusions. You're here to awaken souls, activate truth, and build something that can't be faked. Real connection, divine alignment, eternal purpose. Chosen ones aren't here to be loved by the masses. You were sent to find the remnant, the ones who don't need you to shrink to feel big, who don't fear your light because they carry their own. These are the ones who will hear your voice and feel their spirit stir. And those are the only ones who truly matter. So no, you're not for everyone. But you are everything to the ones you're sent to, and that's more powerful than being liked by the world. Keep shining, keep walking, keep being exactly who you are, without apology, without dilution, without compromise, because your presence is not a performance, it's a calling, and anyone who can't handle that was never meant to, period. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button to join a community of awakened souls walking this path together. Like the video to show your support and help more chosen ones find this truth. Drop a comment below, share your thoughts, your experiences, or just say hello. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Together we rise, we awaken, and we shine brighter than ever before. God bless you.